So maybe there's a certain reality that you're trying to now start to achieve, or there are certain goals in your life that you want to start to hit. And you're like, how do I do that? How can I be the most productive in order to allow myself to see those things through and make myself just accomplish them? Because throughout our lives, there's so many things that we're going to want to be doing. And probably until this point, there have been things in your personal life that you know you've wanted to do. And for some reason, you weren't able to just get it done. So today we're going to talk about goal setting processes. What is it we can start to do? What are the things that we can start to implement? I speak about this a bunch, but if you are here for the first time, we're going to lay out what it is you need to be doing. And if you are new here, there are actually some ideas that I've been tweaking and adding as I continue to go my own personal journey in terms of my own goal setting and all the things that I'm trying to accomplish in my life. I like to think that I'm trying to do a lot of different things in some areas, a bunch of different areas. And if I can just try to share that with you guys, it'll be the best. So let me know down below in the comments whether you find this stuff useful or not useful, and tell me why, actually, because I think that's just great feedback for me to see and understand how other people work. So let me know what is down in the comments below also, so I know what is going on. So the first idea when it comes to goal setting, and this is where most people get it wrong, and I was interesting because I was on this private call through one of my coaching communities that I was involved with, and there's only 9 of us on it in the real estate world, or I would say in the bigger pockets real estate world. So if you're familiar with real estate and you're into bigger pockets, so one of the guys who really blew this thing out of the water was a guy named Brandon. And Brandon spoke, he's now almost done over close to $1 billion in real estate deals, but he had this podcast and I got really obsessed with him, and he was one of the people that I looked up to, and I got put in this group, and there's 9 of us on a call with Brandon, and Brandon was talking about different things that different goal setting techniques that he started learning and figuring out. And this is one of the ideas that he shared with us, and I thought it was genius. Because he said a lot of times people, when they start to figure out what goal they want, they try to first set their goals on the eyes in terms of where it is that they want to go, and then they try to like work on achieving it. But he said the first thing we need to really start to do is we need to start to commit. And he said that's where most people get it wrong. Because how many things in your personal life have you committed to and yet haven't followed through with? Maybe it was a diet that you were on. Maybe it was not looking to binge watch at night. But there was something that you said that you were going to do. And for some reason, maybe for a day or two, you were able to do it. And then all of a sudden, you messed up. You didn't really allow yourself to commit. And then the next time that happens, you mess up again and again and again. Then all of a sudden, you start to be this person who doesn't really know how to commit, because things are going to get tough. And we have to understand that even though things are getting tough, we're committed to it. So it doesn't really matter what's going on that end. But if we're committed to whatever it is that we're looking to do, so that's the thing that we have to realize. And for a lot of people, we also have to realize like what our personality is and how long we should be committing. Because even if it's us committing for a day or two, that could be enough of a commitment, because we're being true and honest to ourselves. Most goals don't usually take a day or two, but maybe it's something I just want to like do the laundry. I want to commit to doing the laundry. And you're giving yourself a day or two. And no matter what, at the end of the 2 days, the laundry will be done. And those are the small things we need to understand. And when it comes to goal setting, for so many people, they end up seeing the failure before they even start, because they themselves are not somebody who could commit to something. They themselves know that, oh, when the going gets tough, when the ice cream's in the freezer, I'm going to be eating it. And we need to ask ourselves, are we really committed to the goal that we want? Do we really want this thing? And I say that lightly, and most people take it lightly. And what we have to realize is that more important than picking a goal and starting to achieve it is to understand, is this the goal I really want to be doing? And I don't necessarily, and I tell all my clients this, I'm like, we're committing and we're trying to figure out our goals. But what we have to do is we're not going to pick the goal right away. It's not going to be like something like just like that. And even though people come and they say, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z. But it's like, are you really committed to that? Do we really know what it's going to take? Do you understand what type of lifestyle you're going to need to live? Do you understand that you're going to have to say a no to a lot of things? And for a lot of people, they don't realize that. They just say things. And because they just say things, they end up messing up. We have to realize that the first thing we have to do is we have to commit. And if we're not going to commit, then I'm telling you, we're not going to be able to succeed. Because I can guarantee you that any goal that you are trying to achieve, there are going to be bumps in the roads. There's going to be things, there's going to be your mindset. You're going to be able to convince yourself so rationally why the thing that you're doing is not going to work. And a lot of times, and we're going to talk about the strategy, we're going to have to like not be able to think, and we're just going to have to take the action. Because at the end of the day, the results usually happen after action. And our mindset is either going to be helping us take taking those steps, or it's going to stop us and not take those steps. And we need to ask ourselves, is this something I want to commit to? So when we're looking to commit to something, really understand what that means. And if you're somebody who, you don't have a good track record of committing, then I would say start small. Start with smaller things that you can start to do to commit to yourself, to build up this confidence in your commitment. So when the going does get tough, because it will get tough, we can start to take that action, and regardless of how we're feeling. We could try to figure out what it is we need to be doing, even if we just feel so lost. And these are basic things about goal setting that so many people don't talk. So when Brandon started sharing these ideas, I thought that was genius, because for so many of us, we don't look to commit first, and we're looking to just run and start to set our goals, and we're setting ourselves up just for failure. So once we looked and once we understand, okay, what is that we want to commit? We have to understand two aspects of the goal. Number one is where we really are, and to be honest with ourselves. And number two, where is it that we're really going? You see, for so many people, on the one hand, they start taking action. They don't really realize what it is that they want to be doing. And I know for me personally, that happened when I started in sales. So I started doing sales for my coaching, and I thought that it was pretty good. I listened to a podcast or two, I listened to watched some YouTube videos, read some books, and I was like, oh, I'm a pro at this. This should be easy. And I thought that I should be somewhere that I was really not. And it wasn't one of those things that I was being unrealistic. Like, I really believed that, I thought I should have been better. And I realized very, very quickly that I wasn't. And the problem with that expectation that I set for myself is that it hurt. It hurt a lot. My ego got destroyed, because I was like, why are people not buying from me? People seem like they really want it. They really want to be able to, help themselves, help their businesses. And for some reason, they're not able to. And it was so interesting to me. And at first it was tough. And for a long time, I was just so frustrated with the fact that it was a lot more difficult than I thought it was. But then I realized, you know what? I got to man up. I got to understand what's really going on here. How is it that I can change? What is it that I can learn from my sales calls in order to just get better at it? And if I would have had that proper expectation from the beginning, the goal wouldn't necessarily have been to be closing people. The goal would have been just getting on the phone with people, just having a positive conversation with people, not worrying about the pitch, because there's so many parts to the goal that I was setting for myself that the result was going to happen only if I was able to figure out those things. And for so many people, they're setting certain goals for themselves, but they're starting from the wrong spot. And not even just physically, but just mentally. They think they're in the wrong spot. And because of that, they end up messing themselves up. It doesn't mean we have to sell ourselves short. So I think it's a double-edged sword. So I think we have to think of the other way also. Meaning, if you're really good at something and you're telling yourself that you're not, give yourself the credit, pat yourself on the back, and understand, I could really be starting in the deeper end. I don't have to start with, math 101. I could jump up a class or a grade, whatever it might be, because I'm really good at math. And understanding and asking ourselves those questions can be great in terms of where it is we're starting. And the second side of that equation is, where is it that we're going? It's not just I want to have a healthy relationship. It's not just I want to feel healthy. It's not just I want to be making $1 million. What does that mean? Get specific. I remember the first time I heard this from a guy, Dean Graziosi. That's what I heard from. I heard from Dean Graziosi. And Dean was saying how when we are getting clear on the path that we want to go, we got to get real clear. We got to go real deep. And he was tying it into the idea of our why, and why is it that we're doing something, which is the next part of this equation. But recognizing that when we are taking ourselves from point A to point B, we have to know with extreme clarity where it is that we're going. And once we understand where we're going, then we have the ability to start to figure out the direction. We can figure out the flight path. We can understand, okay, this is what's going to happen. These are the hiccups that we're going to be prepared for. Because if not, then all of a sudden, when the things get a little bumpy, when the turbulence starts to come, we're not going to be able to achieve those goals. And a lot of times, unfortunately, people are set in the wrong direction. And now you might ask yourself, well, Bennett, that's really nice, but at the end of the day, I don't know exactly where I want to go. I know I want to be financially free. I don't know where or which direction. And I say, you don't necessarily have to know with exact certainty, but you definitely have to know which direction you're going in. Are you going east? Are you going west? Are you going north? Are you going south? Because I remember there was this client of mine who was in college and he wanted to become an accountant. And he didn't know what he wanted to do after he got his accounting degree, but he knew he wanted to get his accounting degree. And he didn't know what type of accounting he wanted to get into, and he thought maybe with experience he'll figure it out. And for him, that first train stop that he was looking to get onto was really just to get his degree. So it was really working out his schedule in school and trying to figure out how he could try to get his degree and take his CPA and all those different things. And that was something that was really important for him. And I think for all of us, we have certain ideas in terms of direction we want to be going. And we got to figure that out. So even if it's like, I want to be making a lot of money, but maybe the first step is I just want to be able to cover my expenses. And it's really acknowledging yourself. How many expenses do you really have? Because for a lot of people, they don't know that answer. I was recently speaking to somebody, and she asked me, she's like, well, I want to really take this job, but I don't know if it's worth it or not. Blah, blah, blah. And I asked just a basic question. I was like, well, how much money do you spend every month? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, so we got to figure that out first, because it's very nice we have these opportunities, but if we are not setting ourselves up because of questions that are really, it's a black or white answer. It's not, there's no curiosity over there. It's really just, I got to look at my numbers, I got to look at the last, let's say 3 months, see how much money I spend, and try to figure out the average of how much I'm spending in different areas of my life. And we can start to figure out how much money do we need over the year. Because a lot of times people, and this happens all the time, people are like, oh, I want to make $1 million. And the answer is like, well, I'm only spending $80,000 a year. So I'm like, okay, great. So let's just start there. Let's get really clear with that. And we can have our goals that we build upon, right? As Simon Sinek talks about, we have infinite goals and we have finite goals. And I think could be a combo of that as well. So in your life, you might want to say, I want to be playing the game of business, or I want to be growing my business as big as I can. And throughout my career, I want to be able to hit these landmarks throughout. And that's something that is very possible and very doable. And we need to ask ourselves, is that something that we want, something that we don't want? How is it that we can start to achieve those things? Because once we do that, then all of a sudden we have the ability to really start to set ourselves up for the right direction that we want to be going on. And I just mentioned the idea of our why. And I think that's also really important, because for so many of us, there's going to be things that are going to help us pull us towards that goal. And if there's no real reason, and by real, I don't just mean like a physical, but like more of like an emotional reason. So many times we're not going to be able to get through that tough time, because the highs are going to be amazing and the lows are going to be like the worst. And what we have to realize is that we have to be able to stay on track. It doesn't mean we're not going to get burnt out. It doesn't mean we're not going to get down or let down by other people. But if we have the ability to figure out what that buoy is, what that thing is in our life, that no matter what's going on, we're going to be able to stay afloat. That it's going to be our light, that regardless of the darkest, that light, it might be very dim, but it's going to be shining. And we'll know which direction to go into. That is something that is so powerful. That is something that could be so instrumental in terms of the direction that we want to be going in. So really understand why it is you're doing something. Why is it that you want to build your relationships? And don't just say, because I want to, feel good. I want to be able to just have a connection with somebody. But really dig deep. Why is it that you want to be financially free? Well, I want to be able to support my family and my community. But dig deeper. Why? Make it really personal. Make it something that you can connect to. Because I'm telling you, when you are going to need that light, and you can dig down to that emotion, all the other reasons are going to pop up again. You're going to be able to really pull yourself out of it. And I think it's so important that so many people don't think about why it is they're doing the thing that they want to be doing. And if you don't know why, then I would give yourself some time to think about that, because that's going to be the thing that's going to be able to help you. And then I think one of the last things, and probably the most important thing, is to really be able to take that action. I know it sounds so simple, but for so many people, they have these ideas that want to think about what it is they want to be doing, and they can't take that action. They can't get themselves just to start. It's interesting, if you look on YouTube or any of these search engines, the most searched items are the ones that are just getting people started. How to start a podcast, how to start a YouTube channel, how to become a coach, how to start a business, all these different ideas that are just people not being able to take that action. And it's really the idea of just figuring out what that first step is. And if you're not sure, because this is the question, well, Ben, I just don't know what the first step is. I want to start a business. I have no idea what the first step is. And I would ask you, what do you think the first step is? Because there's no big idea. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that I started to learn. It's like, there's no one way to do anything. Everyone figures it out their own way. And if we could just start to understand for ourselves, regardless of which direction I go, regardless of which action I take, it's one action that's going to help, because at this moment I can only do one thing anyway. So what's that one thing? Because even if it's something that's going to slow us down, it's still getting us momentum, so then we can start to speed up. and speed up and speed up. And then one action builds onto another action, onto another action. And it's framing it not to get to your goal, because there's some people, their goals are years away. But it's what can I do today to help me take one step forward? Because I'm telling you right now, if you would take one step forward every single day of the past year, you'd be so much happier where you are than where you are today. Imagine if you took 2 steps. So ask yourself, what is it that you want to be doing? What is that first action that you need to be taking? And if you have that ability to take that action, I'm telling you, things will start to shift, things will start to change. It can be so powerful for so many of us. So what is that first thing you need to be doing? What is that goal that you want to be setting for yourself? What is that thing that you've been pushing aside? And if we can try to figure out and commit to it, and we can allow ourselves to say, hey, you know what? I know where I am. I'm being realistic with who I am, both on the positive and the negative. I know where I want to be going. I understand my why, and I can start to take that action. It's not reasonable for us not to be able to reach them. And as long as we're clear on it and we have a strong enough why, I'm telling you, it's going to be able to pull you forward. So let me know what questions you have down below. I'd be happy to answer any of them. We'll see you all on the next one.